Welcome to Let's Talk Writing with Kirsten and Edwina,
coming to you from Madangi country
in Babinda, Far North Queensland, Australia.
Today's episode I'm really excited about because we're talking about writing retreats, which is our thing. So, Kirsten, what was the first writing retreat you ever went to, or retreat?
Okay, so the first retreat I ever went to was actually a 10-day silent Vipassana retreat.
Oh, yeah, full on.
Full on, yes. And what really opened my eyes to the benefit of a retreat was, I was in full-time employment. We get in Australia 20 days of annual leave, which seems generous compared to other countries, the States. And I always thought, spending my precious 20 days of annual leave, why would I spend them to sit in silence on a cushion with my own thoughts, the only thing for company? That's nuts. So when I finally went on a retreat, it was because I really needed something to help me get through grief. And I had tried other things, but counseling didn't work. It was too slow. I needed something more full on. And I ended up in Sri Lanka doing this Vipassana retreat, and we were there for 10 days silent. It was mainly local participants, and afterwards the women all came up to me because I was the exotic person with the blonde yellow hair. And what was interesting is they came from a very broad background, banker, farmer, what have you, everything in between. And they all said to me, for us being Buddhists, a retreat is sort of part of our annual, they didn't use the word self-care, but it basically came down to that it is part of your maintenance, of how you keep your brain and your emotions in check by taking time out every year to go on a retreat for an extended period of time. And that's when I thought, maybe I got it all wrong. Maybe that leave is not really for me to go on adventures and ride elephants through the jungle. Maybe this is actually about balancing that with spending some time with myself and understanding what is going on inside of me. Yeah, what about you?
I suppose what you're saying is it's a bit like a computer, is giving it a bit of downtime and letting it defrag. It's like doing an annual computer cleanse and going through all your emails and cleaning out all the inboxes and the outboxes.
And it is actually like an annual detox because you can't drink, you can't overeat, and of course you don't have access to your computer. So you're having like a detox from everything.
Yeah, that would be great. So my first retreats were yoga retreats too, of course. I waited till my children were like 10 before I left them alone with their father. But so there were those, and I just realised, oh man, boy, is that good. It's so valuable, especially for women who are so busy working and with children, just to take that time for yourself. And then when I did the Masters, I became very good friends with a wonderful writer called Helena Pastor, who she moved to Armidale and I was still in Brisbane. So we would meet up every year halfway at a place called Evans Head on the coast in northern New South Wales. And there we would exchange our writing in hard copy and read each other's work and edit and give feedback and talk writing and feast and swim and have fun. And it was so beautiful there. And I thought, wow, this is so great. I just want to share this with others. And of course, I've been to other writing retreats too. I'd been to Varuna Writer's House. I had a fellowship there. Also at Catherine Susanna Pritchard House in Western Australia, an early Queensland Writer Centre Hachette manuscript development program as well. And really for me, the very best thing that comes out of it is just being surrounded by other writers.
Yes.
And being validated for being a writer. Like, it's a normal thing to do because, yes, as you know, other people sort of think being a writer is a bit weird or very self-indulgent. But no, it's a calling like any other calling. And when you're surrounded by those people and you walk around having your break and your cup of tea and you look up to the windows and you see other writers all hard at work, it just makes you feel so good.
Yes, and it also makes you want to continue and go harder because you see everybody else going. And it's the beautiful thing about a writer's retreat. I mean, most retreats have that, but we're talking specifically about writing, is the synergy you create. You know, there really is, the air is crackling with writers and thoughts. And so that is one wonderful thing. And of course, the other thing is I get a lot of people who may have busy lives, mothers, friends,
Everyone.
and getting away from everything, being in a different context, being with different people. You don't know them. I mean, mostly you go to a retreat and you don't know anybody. So how will that work out? For example, when I ran my first writers retreat, I got, the youngest was 23 and the oldest was 75. And I thought, how is that going to work out? I was a little bit nervous, and it worked out magnificently because, what we had in common was our passion for writing and sharing our stories. And they loved each other. They used to,
Yes.
the 23-year-old and the 75-year-old went shopping together and hung out together. So it was wonderful. So that's the other great thing that happens on a writing retreat. You actually get to share your writing, because don't share your writing with your partner, your best friend, because they're not the people to give you the most valuable feedback. They'll probably say, great, because they love you, because they don't want to criticize you. They don't, or
they might say, who'd want to read that? Bad mistake. Yes. And, but you're right. I mean, that for me is a wonderful part of the retreats is seeing how everybody comes together and how everybody supports each other. It's a really wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I've been extremely lucky with that. I just had great people on my retreats who are always looking out for each other as well. Because often when we're writing, we are a bit raw and it's scary to share our writing. But without fail, people on retreat are very supportive of each other.
Absolutely, because I remember I used to get participants writing to me in advance of the retreats going, but what if my writing isn't as good as all the others? And I said,
Yes.
that's a no-no.
We all feel that.
We all feel that way, don't worry. And typically, if there may be somebody much more advanced than you, they will be helping you. They might... I'm not saying they become your mentor, but in a way, you help each other. And we, in fact, met on a writing retreat.
Yes.
I, in fact, went to Edwina's retreat in Magnetic Island. I had just finished my first retreat in Mission Beach, where I had not run retreats prior. It was thanks to the pandemic that I ended up doing that. And I ran my retreat, and I was, tired, as you are when you run a retreat. And so I thought, I'll spoil myself. I'll give myself a retreat. And afterwards, somebody said to me, did you actually get anything out of that, given that you teach the same things? And of course I did, because hearing it from another person said in different ways, something always sticks. Something that I may have said to my students is like, yes, I should pay attention to that too.
And that's a wonderful thing about retreats as well. We have busy lives, and when do we ever get a chance to be the one being looked after?
Exactly.
But that's what happens on retreats.
Yes.
You come on our retreats and you are the one being nurtured.
That's right.
You're filling up your creative well. Your meals are prepared. You're being tenderly cared for in yoga. And and your creativity is fueled.
So you hold your writing retreats in Australia?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit.
Every year I hold one every June on Magnetic Island, beautiful Magnetic Island off the coast of Townsville. So that's for my North Queensland friends. And that's why I'm still up here. But I also do another couple around Brisbane. So my next one is Springbrook. That's usually in August, and that's the second draft retreat. So that's for people who've got a bit of work done, or maybe they've got a full draft, or they've got halfway and they've got stuck. So this is a retreat to come along, share some of that work and learn about self-editing. And then my final retreat for the year so far is held in October, and that's a life writing retreat. And at the moment, that's on the Sunshine Coast.
Wonderful. And that is the other thing, is you get a block of time to actually work on your passion and perhaps on your draft. And I used to think, well, what can you possibly do in 2 days? Well, it turns out you can do a lot in 2 days. So my retreats are typically a bit longer than yours. I usually hold 4 nights, 5 days in Mission Beach. We do these throughout the year. And I also hold, that's how I started. I used my first retreat was in Hoi An in Vietnam, and they are usually a bit longer, 6 nights, 7 days, because people come a long way to Vietnam, and we also, of course, take advantage of the wonderful location and take people on cooking schools. And then we write about, or go to the market, and you write about the wonderful fruit. So
I want to go on that one.
If you need more information, you can find it on the link.
We'd love to see you on retreat. We always have a wonderful time.
Definitely. And expect to be transformed.
Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Writing with Kirsten and Edwina.
And here are our links. Please follow us and leave comments. Happy writing. That's good.